Happy Valentine's Day, Scooby fans. In today's video, we're going to be looking back at two, quote, Valentine's Day specials from the franchise. So sit back, grab some Scooby Snacks, and get ready for a mystery-filled Valentine's Day. In our first love-centered episode, Where Walks Aphrodite, from the later series Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, probably one of your favorite series of Scooby-Doo. Our episode begins when we see an average fight during the Crystal Cove High School soccer game. While the fans and the actual players are arguing and fighting with each other, the absolutely disgusting monster that's the goddess of love appears and gets all the angry fans to fall in love and peacefully lose their minds. The next day at school, the gang are starting to get confused by the odd couples that would never date each other. Shaggy admits that he never studied for his test, but he suddenly gets jump scared by the substitute teacher Aphrodite. Her ugly appearance scares Shaggy enough for her to blow her pink flowers that fill him with the mind-controlling love. The day starts falling apart when the gang all get infected with the love, regaining their relationships with each other. Later, Scooby is at the school looking for Shaggy, only to find a group of loving students, which at first makes Scooby glad, but then he gets startled by Aphrodite. Scooby realizes he's immune to her spell, and she commands her minions to capture him. Scooby quickly escapes away from the school and into the town. Then this happens.
Run down that mangy mongrel. Run him down with the love, now!
Yes, Miss Aphrodite.
After almost getting ran over by the goddess of love, Scooby runs into the recently escaped prisoner, Professor Pericles. Scooby-Doo and Pericles start going around town and search for the ingredients for an antidote to this love spell. After getting the ingredients, they go back to the school lab and make the antidote. In probably the scariest scene of the episode, Aphrodite breaks the door down and her minions take most of the antidote. The two escape and spray the gang with the remaining antidote, but there's no time to talk because our villain is already there to get the gang.
You're not in the love anymore? Now I'm going to have to let out an unearthly owl and destroy you.
All of a sudden, Angel Dynamite shows up in the Mystery Machine to rescue them from the attacking town. After a rescue, the gang go to the library to find anything about this mysterious monster. As the gang look, they understandably try not to talk about what they did while under the love spell. Velma figures out that Aphrodite was wearing a prom dress, and the prom dress is the same one that a girl wore who was laughed out of the school by a horrible joke during prom. After finding this out, the gang recreate the antidote and disguise themselves to trap the villain. The gang crash Aphrodite's prom and sprays all the citizens of the town and capture the villain. And she was Amanda Smythe, the geek from all that time ago. And she did all of this for revenge. Like, who does that for revenge? And that's the episode. Sure, it doesn't come out on Valentine's Day, but it's close enough. And she almost got away with mind controlling the whole town. But for the lore of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, we find out that Pericles was the one who gave the information to make the love spell to Amanda. Anyways, the fact that she did all of that for revenge is wild. Like, the prank was insanely sad for her, but like, you didn't need to go that hard. Like, if I saw this, I'm out. This is such an underrated villain. She's like beyond ugly, and that's the scariest part about her. Yeah, she's not really a 10 out of 10, guys, okay? You wouldn't date her for Valentine's Day, trust me. But I did love the pairing with the mayor and the sheriff, two of my favorite characters, which was so funny to see that scene. Anyways, let's move on to our next episode, which is a Valentine's special, a Scooby-Doo Valentine. Our next episode is from the 2002 show, What's New Scooby-Doo? And it's our only Scooby-Doo Valentine special, technically speaking. A Scooby-Doo Valentine is the third episode of the third season of What's New Scooby-Doo. And before we get into the episode, I want to share a story with you about this episode. Back when I was just a child, I always went to this local pizza chain near me, and this specific one I went to had this kids area, and I loved going to this place for pizza and to watch Scooby-Doo on the massive TV in the kids area. And one day there was an episode airing on Boomerang that I never saw before, and I only got to see the intro of this mystery episode before I had to leave. Now 11 years later, yeah, 11 years, it's been that long, I've solved my own nostalgic mystery. The episode that I was scared by the intro of at this pizza place was in fact the intro of a Scooby-Doo Valentine. Pretty cool, right? I recently finally got to see the full episode after all those years of questioning what I saw on that big TV. With my story and nostalgia aside, let's get into this spooky episode. Our Valentine's special begins when we see the gang on their way back from all their exciting adventures from What's New Scooby-Doo. And if you don't know, with What's New Scooby-Doo, they did go around the world all over, so this kind of like wraps it all up in a nice bow with the gang going back to their hometown. And Daphne is so excited to be back for Valentine's Day.
We'll be home in time for Valentine's Day. It is absolutely my most favorite holiday of the year.
I thought your birthday was your most favorite holiday.
And Christmas.
And Groundhog Day.
All right, fine. After all those.
They pass by Lover's Lane, a local teen hangout spot, where two loving teens get attacked by some strange red-eyed creatures. Then we cut to our title card. No simple plan intro this time around. We see Shaggy, Fred, and Scooby all live in the same house together, which means the gang have to be at least 18 to be able to rent these houses. While they make breakfast, a mailman named George, who is a friend of the gang, comes in and gives Fred the mail, and some special Valentine's cards too. At Daphne and Velma's place, yeah, they live together too, which makes this a very weird episode because a lot of the plot and characters have never come back in the series. George comes by and gives the girls some more Valentine's cards from an anonymous source. After reading their strange cards, the gang go back to Lover's Lane to find more about the disappearances. Velma finds a strange clue, and the gang tell each other about the cards they got. When they try to blame each other, the sheriff shows up and mocks the gang. Right after that, Shaggy's ex-girlfriend Rachel shows up, and we get some insight of how they broke up in a really funny scene.
See, Scoob and I are going on the road with the gang, and the road's no place for a long-distance relationship. I hope we can still be friends. Might have left some CDs here and...
And Shaggy accuses Rachel of getting the Valentines. Turns out Rachel is dating the lead singer of NSYNC, JC Chasez. Why is he here? I mean, okay. During this, one of the victims of the disappearances screams and says the gang are the ones who attacked her. Later at a diner, the gang are waiting to order when Rachel shows up again and introduces the gang to her new boyfriend, JC Chasez, which surprises everyone.
Don't feel bad, Shaggy. JC Chasez is nowhere near as... Well, you're more... You have... Check, please.
Back at Daphne's place, which I forgot to mention is the same art used as her house in Zombie Island, Velma is explaining that the strange goop she found at Lover's Lane is a chemical that can't easily be acquired. Suddenly, the mailman just walks into their house and gives the gang more special Valentines, which they signed for. And George asks Velma out, but she denies his request. After George storms out, Daphne gets suspicious.
There's something off about that guy. I just have a feeling. Call it...
Your woman's intuition.
Yeah, we know.
The gang read their Valentines, which tells them to, quote, meet me at midnight at Lover's Lane. Later at Lover's Lane, the gang split up and look for clues, while a strange figure watches them.
What? But we always split up the teams, me, you, and Daphne, and Shaggy and Scooby. Fine. I'm just saying you're messing with the formula that got us here.
Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby get attacked by themselves, while the rest of the gang find a note on a tree that confesses to the kidnapping, signed by them. The gang meet up and get caught by the sheriff, and he doesn't look so happy. Yeah, the gang get arrested and go to jail. Like, what is this episode? While in jail, Rachel thinks Shaggy is innocent while JC Chasez literally flew all the way back from his tour just to say, how could you, to Shaggy. While being interrogated, Velma makes a deal with the officer to prove their innocence. The deal in question is having Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby as bait. So Fred and Daphne awkwardly try to get into the loving mood to attract the monsters, and Shaggy and Scooby do the same.
I told you, Scoob, you have to be the girl because you have the legs for it.
Suddenly, after some funny dialogue, the Mystery Machine get attacked by Evil Fred and the rest of the evil gang. They literally lift the Mystery Machine, and the real gang all run away into the woods for our chase sequence, with an amazing pop-punk style song, which is so 2000s.
Sunday comes and my baby's not here. I make lonely weekend calls. Who's gonna walk on the wire?
Shaggy and Scooby lead the monsters to the trap, which works and traps the evil gang, only to find out that JC Chasez was behind it the whole time. Apparently, he was jealous of Shaggy because that's all Rachel would talk about, so why not just break up with Rachel? Anyways, he hired, quote, Hollywood extras that were hilariously just caricatures of the voice actors at the time. Frank Welker, Casey Kasem, Gray Delisle, and Mindy Cohn. He sent the cards to the gang and used their signatures to frame them. Rachel actually thought what JC did was romantic, which is so confusing. In the end, we find out that the kidnapped people were at JC's cabin, which was mentioned earlier. Yeah, this is a mansion, not a cabin. I don't know what he's talking about. And when the gang show up, all the kidnapped people fangirl over JC, and Daphne still can't believe she was played by an extra and asks, was Sarah Michelle Gellar too busy? Which is the actress who played Daphne in the live-action films.
Was Sarah Michelle Gellar too busy?
And so our Valentine's special ends with Scooby and Shaggy falling in love with food.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Happy Valentine's to you!
And that's a Scooby-Doo Valentines. Looking back on this sometimes forgettable special and getting to finally resolve my own mystery of what Scooby-Doo episode I was really watching all those years ago, and what an episode it is. From the strange references and people to the genius comedic timing, this is a great example of how unique and of its time What's New Scooby-Doo really is. So what do you think about these Valentine's Day specials? Have you watched these episodes? What do you think of them? I personally love both of these episodes, and I think that they're great to watch on Valentine's Day by yourself or with your partner. And any and all thoughts, leave them in the comments below, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Bye.
Green.